Cognitive functions, the theory of mental traits that allow us to study social behaviors and functions. Functions that relate how our brain actually works and interacts with the world. 4 main functions, 2 versions of each, 8 types of complexity, each depending on others. By this understanding of our cognitive functions, you will also need to have induction reasoning and deduction reasoning. Deduction reasoning is from theories and ideas to unified structured conclusion, while inductive reasoning is all about using basic unified conclusion to interact with such of things. Deduction reasoning from ideas to unique conclusion. If you need to understand by an example learning cognitive functions from this video, you are using deductive reasoning, which means I'll provide basics and some could be stereotypes about cognitive functions to help you understand about basic meaning of MBTI, and you can see those functions how they work. Inductive reasoning from unit to method conclusion. If you need to interact with your friend or crush, if example your friend is INTP, by using my methodology process how to interact correctly with INTP. But I'll also provide more about cognitive functions, how they link together. I'll explain in basic beginner script, and I'll post next later and later. So stay tuned. Number 1. Introverted Sensing. Most basic, this is the feature that works like our phone and computer storage. I set memory, and they know what's in their memory. Just like reasoning from your history and process. SI works like keep and use information in structured place, like how we store photos in our phone. It's also like a bookshelf. Imagine there's a bookshelf which has kind of colored books. Certain person wants to take a red book and see and easily choose to take the red book. This is the basic function of SI. Holds certain information about things, and it could be complex like history class. Number 2. Extroverted Sensing. These functions like aimbot. I mean, it is helpful for sports and athletics, which crucial function for giving frequent reaction to your environment. Imagine there's a person who throwing you a ball. The strong AC will grab the ball immediately. In action. If you have this kind of function, you're good at sports. Not only sports, but in game, dancing, and physical work. Also, extroverted sensing is known as by appreciating visuals. It is reactive and reflexive to the environmental factors. In social group, it can be misunderstood with extroverted thinking. But there are some ways to distinguish between extroverted thinking and extroverted sensing. When extroverted thinking all about tend for logical and oriented, extroverted sensing is all about action-oriented and present-focused decision. This kind of function is pretty useful when the whole group is exhausted and boring. Number 3, we have introverted thinking. This function is entirely based on logical problem solving, how our brain finds solutions to certain problems that requires logical decisions. Otherwise, these functions like internal processor of computer or phone, focusing on precision rather than speed. While the stronger the TI, the better at solving and making decisions in the logical area. Imagine there's a math or question related to logical. You have strong TI will find the most accurate solution based on its logical potential, while question must be fit style of TI way of logic. which cannot be anything else like romantic or philosophical or deep thinking for TI. But it doesn't actually mean it has no romantic or philosophical potential. It is always needs to be paired with auxiliary or dominant function. TI is more about clear and logical thinking than creativity. It seeks internal consistency even if it takes time. Tends to be precise and insightful, it can be misunderstood. But TI is way more transparent and excels in logical. Number 4. Now we have Extroverted Thinking. The function could only work with the company and might be inactive and alone. Just my experience, literally weak when it's without people. But I didn't actually mean it's polarized. Literally weak it's without people, which means gathering information and solving problems from external sources. But it also has similarities with TI functions by it's based on logical. If naturally dominant, to ability leads to people. Not only people, it can be something else. Imagine if there's a people who all have ability and skills and knowledge, but don't know what to do, actually means there are no logical arguments and insights among these skilled people. When there's one person who has strong TI functions, can lead them and reach to the top of the mountain together. Extroverted thinking is the objective function, that solution of logical errors and problem of crowd, people and give insights. Crowd control function, yes, I can say that. Highlighting extroverted thinking is based on logic and external source from society and functions, which helps leader navigate problems and solution for the crowd logical area of people. Also focuses on criteria, direct communication and solving problems in crowd logic. Extroverted thinking can be hard but soft, but it actually depends on their lifestyle and experience. Number 5, we have Introverted Feeling. The function known as soft heart, which means emphatic, emotional, and strong sense of value. It is often driven by emotions and feelings and value of subject, which means highly subjective, perhaps difficult to explain here. In fact, it could take a whole day to fully explain FI. Let's go back to the video. A strong FI often gives strong emotions and creates to find values in kind of subject. Wants to keep relationship and subject stable and healthy as depends on FI's potential. Imagine there's a netography on TV and INFP or ISFP is watching. TV shows there's a mother bear and a baby bear. If mother and baby bears enjoying together, FI user will enjoy the show together. If the mother bear died while a baby is crying for its mother, the FI user will cry for the moment in despair by the way of life. Simple explanation of FI when it comes to complex details. Strong introverted feeling user will deal with emotional problems no matter how risky, just to protect the value of relationship and right ideas. This means FI users can do anything that could improve the health of relationship. Also protect values by using emotional potential, philosophical reasoning and naive but genuine temperament. Otherwise, when it comes to failure such as misunderstood, imperfect timing or irregular expectations, if a user could live off all struggled in continuous overthinking of emotions, it can be a dangerous sign of this connection an absolute red flag. Otherwise, FI user may stop attending to values anymore. They may prefer and potentially lead to certain values into deep, dark, empty abyss. Pretty hard to get back. But what goes around comes around. If you have FI user friend, INFP and ISFP, you can manage to handle their emotions to help them spending quality times together. Number 6. Extroverted Feeling. Another function of feeling quite similar to extroverted thinking, but it's a leadership function. But one difference, it is based on emotions, which means it tends to be more subjective than objective like TE. Also highly subjective like FI, which cannot be counted or measured by the materials, but can be valuable. We can understand the basis of it, so yes. Extroverted feeling often gathers information from external sources like such as
Get back to work! I said get back to work!
Insight. FE use insight and motivation solving crowd emotional problem, crowd solution function, then takes care of others and lead. Not only a random FI user, there can be any people who are skilled but no motivation. FE itself, it is subjective and often solves emotional problems in crowds area, which can be also be the core harmony of the social group, utilizing healthy emotional attachment of the group and taking any kind of risk all by themselves and sacrifice. These functions can be crowded if people don't give enough values respect to their resilience. Just like FI, extrovert feeling will leave all abundant values in deep and empty dark hole. Like water that being still and becomes stagnant if left standing. The emotional efforts of extrovert feeling and introvert feeling users can deteriorate if they aren't valued or appreciated enough. Extrovert feeling thrives on connection and harmony, and if neglected, it is in danger of corroding and losing its power to support others. To keep the relationships healthy and emotion flowing, you must recognize the contributions of every users to ensure that they remain valued in social group. Now more complex, but don't worry, I'll try to simplify the most accurate conclusion. Let's start from Extroverted Intuition first. Number 7. Extroverted Intuition. Extroverted intuition is an extremely subjective function compared to some objective aspects. It is known as by brainstorming innovative function that sees multiple possibilities from one or two images. These multiple possibilities grow like the roots of the tree. This function enables the ability to innovate ideas and that can be useful to oneself and others. It's not just a true or false. I mean, it is more than true or false. Represents something that cannot be limited to just in two states. This is a whole out-of-box feature, while SE, Extroverted Sensing, responds to environments, while Extroverted Intuition responds to abstractions and novels. Furthermore, as we know, fictional and sci-fi characters often embody abstract concepts. This is how extrovert intuition works. Imagine there's a piece of art in a gallery. An artist sees the artwork and thinks, what kind of art should I create to make it more fascinating and meaningful compared to these other artworks? Or there's a car on the market. An engineer sees to use the car and thinks, What kind of improvements and ideas can I come up with this car more comparative to be useful these other cars? Now we know the basis of extrovert intuition. Before extrovert intuition creates an idea, it begins with experimentation. It can lead into final results. Obviously linked with introverted sensing. Extroverted intuition is a subjective function that cannot be restricted or stopped. It always grows like a tree roots and maintains curiosity. Extroverted intuition can also adopt a duplicated mindset, making false into true, true into false, or even true and false at the same time. Now these are basics of extrovert intuition. Number 8. Introverted intuition. The most misunderstood and mysterious function. There is no final answer in this function and keeps requiring questions and answers. Like extrovert intuition is extremely subjective, introvert intuition is also similar, always looking for patterns all over the world. Also cannot be limited by any kind of stakes except laws and distribution. But both NE and NI can manipulate over these rules and allow system by undetectable, mysterious way. Unless there is another same introvert intuition comes to discover it. But I'm not saying that these NE and NI are somehow villains. I was talking about the capabilities of these two functions. All 8 functions can stay in our brain. Only the function we choose which is stronger becomes dominant. All 8 functions are not bad or good. All of them just do their own attributes and purpose. Let's go back to the main video. It's really hard to come to a conclusion. Even a whole year of research on introvert intuition isn't quite enough. Because it's an air element like attributes, it keeps overthinking like tree roots. Doesn't mean by overthinking, it's also by strategy, tactics, and knowledge. Abstract concepts and ideas depends on how introvert intuition is strong enough. I don't know how to illustrate or imagine, but there is simply an animation I prepared. There's a chest from far away, and there are several ways to reach the chest. Introvert intuition can choose any of them. Not only NI can build his own way to reach the chest, he can even go on this path, and this one, and this one, this path at the same time. Pretty like superposition. Alright, what is actually introvert intuition? Let me put a simple explanation of this. Introvert intuition itself can be similar like extrovert intuition, like root thinking, strategy, and new ideas. These both functions still feels like they're not enough. But I'm confident this is the simplest explanation I can provide. Alright, now I hope we have a general understanding of the cognitive functions and how they work. As I mentioned in the NI section, all 8 functions can remain in our brains. It's just a matter of choosing which ones become dominant. None of these functions can inherently bad or good. It's up to you by making them insightful, innovative, and charming, bright or manipulative, over-dominant, trickery, and dark. This is the essence of the knowledge, so please choose your side. In fact, every cycle of life, when there's peace and justice, there's always evil. If there's evil, there has always been alongside justice once. These two forces are the whole valid nature of life. Neither of them will be extinguished. Life will not be completely happy or completely sad. It is always goes through white then black, black